When I tell you I never thought I'd have to make this video, I never thought I would be making this video. This video is a little different than what you've seen on the channel thus far. If you have been on the channel before, you know this is Becca Believes, and I've shared content about chronic illness, mental health, and choosing joy and faith and life purpose in the middle of all of that. However, we're going to be switching things up a little bit here. I'm filming this on September 17th, and about late July, I realized that I had been unintentionally blindsided by a relapse of my eating disorder that, like I said, we were completely surprised, blindsided, yet by the time we realized what was going on, and I'm like, oh crap, here's the reality. I had gotten too far down the spiral to pull myself out of it on my own. So today I just kind of want to talk to you about the process of admitting when you're facing relapse, especially after literally a decade and as an adult, as opposed to when I had faced it before, and the steps that I've taken to take my life back, because guys, it's been too long. And I'll tell more of my story as time goes on. I'm going to chronicle my journey on this channel, take you with me along the way, but I'll share bits and pieces as they're appropriate. I'm not going to give you like the full run through today. Basically, just so you know, I've struggled with this for 18 years. I've struggled with anorexia for 18 years, and there have been, of course, times when I was better off, times when I was not doing quite as well, times when I had relapsed, times when I was more in recovery, but I never have actually gotten to that place where I can say, yeah, I'm recovered. I'm part of that community of people that can say, I left my eating disorder behind. I am recovered. I now have hope for the first time in my life that I will be able to say that one day, but I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So a little context just for how this completely blindsided us. I have several chronic health conditions, and again, that's stuff that will come up naturally over time as the topics are appropriate. However, one thing that is a part of that is that I am partially dependent on tube feedings, and I have a GJ feeding tube, and there are certain things that happen in the summer months in particular that then trigger my physical conditions, and then circumstantially I'm in a position where I'm not able to run my feeds. And I know that sounds like an excuse. It's not at all, and I will explain more about the specifics in further videos. But last summer I was in a position where, when this was the case, I was physically in a better place where I was actually able to eat a little more, and I was able to sustain myself through the summer and stay at a healthy weight. And then I resumed my feeds back in the fall and in the winter because I still needed that supplemental nutrition, but I was able to get through last summer without it, without relapse happening. I actually mentally was in a great place last summer as well. So when we realized that some things were happening and I was able to confirm, oh crap, yeah, I've really fallen down the rabbit hole here, it jarred me. It was scary because I haven't had to face this level of relapse in 10 years. The last time I was in treatment was in 2011, 3 months after we got married. And I've been able to stay out of eating disorder treatment since. And obviously chronic illness, specifically over the past 8.5, almost 9 years, chronic physical illness has been kind of running our lives. And strangely, as a result of that, my eating disorder, it's always still been here mentally, but in a lot of ways it kind of took a back seat because I had to follow my regimens. I had to follow the different treatments I was doing. I had to follow the different supplements. I had to do all the different things for my physical health conditions. And then my eating disorder, while it was mentally there, I just physically, I was just able to do what I had to do for my health. And this summer, that was not the case, even though it was totally unintentional. And I say I was blindsided because that is the absolute truth. You'd think, oh my gosh, how could you miss red flags like counting calories or starting to weigh myself again or tracking different things in different apps? And just disclaimer, I will not be mentioning specific numbers on this channel. I will keep things very much as non-triggering as possible. So if I'm vague on things like that, that's the reason why, because I know that it serves no purpose to talk about some of the specifics like that. However, I was becoming scared of certain foods again, which I haven't had like traditional fear foods in years. Now, a lot of that is because as a result of my chronic physical illnesses, I've had to follow certain dietary guidelines for the past 8 years, which you would think it would be more restrictive. For a while, it actually gave me more food freedom years and years ago, 8 years ago. So it's all a real complex web of things here. But basically, I thought the fear foods were a thing of the past. Then I noticed that over the course of like a month or two, the selection of foods that I am able to eat outside of my formula that I'm reliant on was shrinking. And I thought that was just because it's what I wanted. But then I realized when I tried to add some of the other things back in, I'm like, oh crap, no, I'm scared of this now. now. I haven't felt this type of fear in years. What the heck do I do? However, still somehow missed that that was a big red flag saying, hey, here's relapse. Hey, you need help. So like I said, I totally missed the red flags of weighing myself constantly, of tracking calories, of tracking fasting hours, of being scared of specific foods that I was able to eat a month previously, or being scared to run my formula even on days that where the situation was not going on that physically prevents it. On those days, I was getting extremely fearful and obsessed with, oh my gosh, how much is going in, how much formula is going in. And I was just stuck in this mindset that is such a mindset of disorder and chaos. And then once I realized, oh crap, my reality right now is that I'm in the middle of a really significant relapse. What the heck do I do? It was scary. Like I said, it jarred me. And then I also had to face telling Roger. And it's not that he didn't know. He is the person who brought up, hey, I'm noticing this and this and this. I'm a little worried. And then that's what made me come to the realization, oh crap, this is real. So he already knew this was going on and was doing anything he could do to try to help me navigate life. But once you're already going down the spiral, there's not really much anyone else can do it until you realize what goes on and ask for and accept and acknowledge that you need help. Why was this so hard for me to admit? And also, why does recovery have to be now? Why is it no longer it's now or never, but it's now, period? It has to be now. And the answers to those questions. I was so far into relapse and was feeling a lot of shame about it. I was feeling honestly kind of pathetic because I'm 32 years old. I'll be 33 in November. I'm 32 years old. I have battled this eating disorder for 18 years. And I say that not as a badge of, oh, look how long I did this, but rather as emphasis for how shameful I feel struggling with this after 18 years, after going to treatment multiple times, after having all the therapy, after having a super supportive family and all of these things that gave me the resources I needed for recovery. I felt ashamed for not being able to implement them. However, I also know it's a mental illness. I did not choose to have a mental illness, and it does feel more shameful, and I feel a little pathetic dealing with it at 32, more so than I did at 14 or 15, but I also know that that would continue to increase every year. So if I don't choose recovery now, the shame is only going to increase. So whenever I do choose it eventually, because the options are death or recovery. So you have to choose it at some point or you're going to die. And I don't want to die. So it has to be now. And why do I have to do it now? Because it's been 18 long, exhausting years. I was worried that being completely honest about it with Roger and with my parents, that I was going to be a disappointment. You know, Roger having to go through all of this with me again after we've had 8, almost 9 years of chronic physical illness that has derailed life, and then being thrown back into an eating disorder relapse that neither one of us expected or could have predicted. I just did not want to disappoint him in that way. He has given me no reason, by the way, to think that he would be disappointed in me. Obviously, he is extremely supportive. He does not want me to have to be struggling, but he is on board for me doing whatever it takes to get the help that I need. So I'm very thankful for him. I'm also very thankful for my parents. And my parents have also never given me a reason to think that they would consider me a disappointment because I'm struggling. However, again, 32 years old, 18 years into this mess, I just was obsessed with the thought. I had the thought playing in my mind, oh my gosh, mom and dad are going to be so disappointed in me. And, God, okay, I didn't mean to start crying here. They weren't, by the way. They were extremely understanding and just said, okay, what can we do to help? And I'm very thankful for them as well. And they've always been that way. And I am determined that this is the last time I'm going to have to explain this to Roger, to my parents, to anyone, because this relapse has to be the last one. This has to be the last one. Bottom line is that if I let myself stay in the shame and didn't share honestly with Roger or with my parents or take the other steps that I'm going to tell you about, that I would have stayed sick, because shame keeps us sick. And it's scary being honest and vulnerable and putting it all out there like I have. It's scary because now it means I'm accountable for doing the right thing and doing the hard thing. So what are the biggest steps that I've taken so far? I'll go ahead and get to that. So once I realized, hey, here's what's going on and I can't afford to let it go any further without doing something about it, and I can't do things on my own, I need help. I knew that treatment was not an option as far as a traditional treatment center or even a partial hospitalization. Anything like that is not an option because of my chronic physical illnesses and the different things that I have to do literally every day just to manage those. So knew that wasn't an option. I started seeing a therapist in June for the first time in about 8 years because teletherapy became widely available in the pandemic world. So I hadn't been able to do therapy for many years. However, my therapist is not a specialist in eating disorders. So while she is helping me with a lot of other things, and she is really, really good for like OCD, for some trauma work that I'm doing, a lot of other things, I knew I needed some specialized eating disorder help. So after doing some research, I came across the concept of eating disorder recovery coaches. This has kind of become more of a thing in the past couple years, and specifically coaches certified by the Carolyn Costin Institute, because I really believe in all of the work that she's done. I'm a big fan of her 8 Keys to Recovery from an Eating Disorder book. And as I was researching, I'm like, I keep coming across this phrase, missing link, missing link, missing link. And I'm like, yeah, oh my gosh, this is the missing link. This seems like the missing link that, despite having the privilege of going to some of the top treatment centers in the country in the past, I haven't been able to implement those things long term. I think this is the missing link. This is the link where someone is going to be in the day-to-day with me, helping me navigate, holding me accountable, literally daily, weekly challenges, just kind of getting me on track. Someone who is there with you in the weeds of recovery as you do the hard work and as you are terrified and run towards your fear. Because I don't know if you know this or not, but when you're scared of something, when you're shaking in your boots, that was a phrase I haven't said in ever. When you know you are taking steps to heal in any way and you get scared, you know that you have to run straight toward that fear, because that fear and pushing through that fear and feeling that fear and doing all the things anyway, it's the only way you're ever going to get out of it. It's the only way you're ever going to get through to freedom and to healing. And I'm saying that as much for myself right now so I can go back and watch my own video as much as I am for you on the other side of the camera, because so many times fear can just paralyze us, and I knew I had to take action. So I reached out to a coach. Yesterday, actually, I had my first coaching session, and I'm going to kind of take you along that journey as well. This is kind of my video of, why this is hard to admit and why I have to do this now. I have to address my fear of weight gain because my reality is that is going to be a part of recovery for me. And it is for a lot of people, but I have to reconcile with the fact that I'm not the exception to the rule in eating disorder recovery. So I just have to accept that that's going to be a reality, do the hard work, and lean on my coach's support as she helps me work through that and navigate all of that. I also, of course, have to worry about the chronic illness side of things, because there are certain foods that I have to avoid because my body has intolerances due to the underlying physical conditions, or I have to follow a specific dietary set of guidelines for whatever treatment I may happen to be doing at the time. So that can kind of fluctuate, and I know that I am reaching out and trying to connect with a dietitian as well who can help me navigate the chronic illness side of things, the eating disorder side of things, and figure out what maybe is super strict over on this side that needed to be in years past but might not need to be anymore. And I can kind of start incorporating it into recovery. I'm talking about like foods there, variety, and things like that. We'll see how that goes along the way. And I have to just finally say, you know what? I let go of all perceived control. And I say perceived control because control is 100% a major driving force behind eating disorders. If you deal with an eating disorder, you're probably very familiar with the fact that it gives you a false sense of perceived control, when in reality, it's really controlling you. You are not in control. And I had to admit, I'm not in control. I have to relinquish my perceived control, and I have to commit to doing the work absolutely terrified. And there's even a twisted part of this where when you've been in an eating disorder for so long, you feel like you're having a little bit of a loss of identity or a loss of security in this thing that is comforting in that it's familiar and you know it well, but you also know it's not serving your life or your ultimate goals for life. So I wanted to share with you some of the reasons why this has to be right now, and the reasons and motivations for choosing recovery right now. It has to be now. Just some of the things that I have written down. I'm exhausted of living in this prison. I want to thoroughly enjoy life with my husband, including a second honeymoon do-over at Disney World, which is where our honeymoon was 10 years ago. Enjoying all of the assorted awesome food and doing the Epcot eating around the world thing. We just can't wait to go back to Disney World and essentially have like a honeymoon part 2. That is a major goal, and I want to be able to enjoy it and not have to feel like I'm trying to control my food or be ruled by numbers or rigidity or anything like that. I never want to hide or have secrets from Roger. I want to be a mother more than just about anything in the world. And this is something I will definitely go in depth into. It may not be in the cards for us at all. It's most likely not going to be in the cards for us to have a biological child for various reasons. However, I've always had a heart for adoption, and that may not end up being in God's plan for us, but it is a major goal and a major motivation for me to kick this disorder out the door. I want to be a mother, and I will not bring a child into our family unless I am mentally and physically well enough to be able to be the best mother that I know that child would need. I have a mission, vision, and a ministry purpose, and I need to be walking the walk to be able to fulfill that calling. I want to be able to enjoy fixing snacks and cooking meals and eating them with my husband. I want to be able to go to my parents' house for family dinner and just be present and not have to bring my own meals and not have to stress out the whole time I'm there, and just be able to enjoy everyone's company, including some of my favorite childhood foods that my mom makes that I haven't had in years and years. I want to be able to restore my body's hunger signals and honor them. I want to be able to eventually enjoy food for what it is. Yeah, it's fuel, but it's also something that can channel good memories, enjoyable experiences, and help us connect with other people and other cultures. I want to thoroughly enjoy my childhood favorite foods with no guilt or anxiety or tracking or obsession, and I have a running list of there are probably 80 foods on it right now that I would like to be able to eat again, so that's part of my reasons. I want to have plenty of energy to be able to play with my nephews. I want to be able to sit and stand and relax or do anything at all without feeling the unintentional, societally conditioned reflex to suck in my stomach. That is so obnoxious to have to feel the need to do that all the time. And it just becomes so second nature. I want to be able to go out to eat without planning beforehand. I want to measure life by joy and memories and not by rigidity and rules and numbers and calories. I want my smile to be genuine, and for others that when they look at me to see God's joy and to see a spirit of comfort and peace and not one that is ruled by chaos and disorder. I want to be able to laugh with the deepest part of my soul in any situation and not immediately be stressing about the next time I have to worry about food. I want to be able to go figure skating for extended periods of time and then be able to enjoy a concession stand soft pretzel after my skating session. Something I used to do before disorder that I can't wait to do again. I want to be able to write books about faith and God's goodness and healing, and I can only do that from a place of doing the work myself again and then having that testimony to share. It only happens if I'm walking the walk. I want to be a public speaker and have since I was a child, and I want to be able to speak from that place of healing and restoration and freedom. I want to be the best mentor I can be to the people I work with in that capacity. Again, requires walking the walk and doing the work myself. I want my mind to be free to just fully focus on worship and live life in Jesus' presence every single day and not be hampered by, okay, God, I surrender all but my eating disorder. I want to be able to sing, I surrender all, and mean all, not mean all but my eating disorder. I surrender all. I want to say it is well with my soul and mean that. Oh, God, started to tear up again. This is a really big one for me. I want my personality back. That is something I will make a whole video on in and of itself, but I want my personality back. If you struggle with an eating disorder, you know that it changes you and it steals a lot of your individual personality. And I want it back. I want to connect with myself and who I am now as an adult. I don't know who I really am because I've lived with this disorder for 18 years and I can't wait to discover who. I'm getting emotional in a good way now. I'm excited. I'm terrified, but I'm so excited that I'm forcing myself to do this anyway. I already shared with you a lot of the things with Roger, and of course there are so many other specific instances with Roger that I want to be able to enjoy. Disney being the biggest one. I want to be able to take a weekend shopping trip with my mom and then eat lunch at the Cheesecake Factory and enjoy a piece of banana cream pie cheesecake, which is terrifying to say right now, but also extremely exciting to think that it could be a possibility. Nope. To think that it will be a possibility. Nope. That it will be a reality someday. Also along those lines, I want to be able to go out on Saturday morning with my dad and have brunch with him out on Saturday morning. That's something that we did in years before disorder as well. And that would just mean a lot to me. And I'm getting emotional again because knowing that these things are going to be a reality again, no matter how long it takes, because I'm determined more than I ever have been before, is very emotional. I want to be able to make a grocery store list based on what I truly want and what my body wants and not just what my eating disordered mind wants. I want to be able to buy and enjoy nut butter that's not powdered. I want to share my journey because others need to see it, and I know this because others sharing their journey has been immensely helpful to me, both with mental health and physical health. I want to be able to go horseback riding and not worry about being strong enough to stay on or worry about breaking bones if I just happen to fall. I want to go to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter with Roger and enjoy butterbeer and cauldron cakes and insert literally anything else here. I want to be able to have the mental and physical ability and capacity to work and contribute to our household income. I want to be able to go to football games with the marching band. Roger's the band director, so I want to go to the high school football games and sit in the band section and enjoy pizza with them during the third quarter of football games on Friday nights. I want to be able to take walks around our neighborhood with Roger and our beagle Lucy, just enjoying being present and taking in the beauty of creation and not worried about the number of steps that I'm taking. I want to have energy and stamina to do everyday chores around the house. I want to be able to make do with whatever food we have on hand so that Roger's not having to make emergency grocery store trips for me at 9 o'clock at night because I've gotten myself into this way where nothing that I have on hand is safe or acceptable to me, and then he goes to the store way later than he needs to be getting out at night. I don't want him to have to feel like he has to do that. And I tell him he doesn't need to, but again, he's super supportive, so he always does literally anything he can do. I don't want him to be in that position anymore. I don't want to be the one putting him in that position. I want to be able to have a package of chocolate chip cookies in the cabinet, know that I can eat cookies and milk, which was something that I did literally every night as a kid. I would have 5 chocolate chip cookies and a mug of milk that I would have every night before bed. I'm not saying I necessarily want to do that every night. There may be a time where I do it nights in a row, but that is something I want to be able to do and just enjoy, and also be able to have those in the house without stressing about, oh my gosh, they're in the house, we got to get them out of the house because they're too tempting. Because if there is any food like that in the house, and it's been the case for 18 years, that's all your mind can kind of obsess over and fixate on, whether you're eating it or not. So I want to be able to keep stuff like that in the house and then enjoy them as my body decides it's craving them. I want to be able to worship at church with full strength and, hopefully be able to join the praise team and lead worship someday. I want to be able to enjoy summertime without focusing on how I look or how my body looks or only being able to wear things that cover me up. I want to be able to wear shorts again and enjoy it. And I mean, not even necessarily enjoy it, just not think about it. I just want to be able to wear shorts when it's hot outside and not be self-conscious about it. I want to connect to the deeper part of my soul that is not ruled by numbers and disorder. And I want to learn who I really am. And above all, who God has called me to be. Like I said, I don't know who adult Becca is. I can't wait to find out. I want to be able to buy clothes that are appropriately fitted and age appropriate and that make me feel comfortable and not just focused on the smallest size that I can get or things that minimize my size. That was a stupid rhyme. I don't want to have to wear a sweatshirt all the time. 95% of the time I have to wear a sweatshirt inside or outside, no matter what time of year it is. And I know I'm not right now. That's because when I'm filming, with lights and all this, I get really overheated. However, I don't want to have to wear a jacket or a sweatshirt, or I just want to be able to wear a single layer of clothing and not be freezing and not feel like I have to cover up because I'm trying to hide my body. And I want to have all the energy I need to be the best auntie I can be for my nephews, because I have the 2 most awesome nephews in the world, and I know I'm the auntie, so I might be a little biased, but they're really awesome. One's 2, one's 3, actually about 2.5 and 3.5, and I love them so much. They deserve to have an auntie who has enough energy to play with them, who is able to devote time and brain power and all of that to watching them grow up and doing everything I can to be the best auntie I can. They make me smile so much. Can you tell I want to be there for my nephews? So again, you're choosing recovery or you're choosing death. I think I did it on the other side earlier, but I'm choosing recovery because I want to be around to watch my nephews grow up, even if we don't end up being able to have the blessing of children ourselves. And I want to pose this question to you. You can think about it for yourself. It's something that I keep saying to myself, and that is, if not now, when? And the phrase that kept coming up as I was journaling over this, all the time I was doing my research, the time that I was looking up coaches, the phrase that kept coming to mind was, it's now or never. And I kept writing that in my journal, and then I realized, no, it's not now or never. It's now, period. because it has to be now. When you're dealing with an eating disorder, there will never be a, quote, sick enough as far as your eating disorder is concerned. You will never be sick enough to warrant getting help. You will never be sick enough to decide to recover, but you have to do it anyway. I have to do it anyway. I am doing it anyway. My disorder is still telling me I'm not sick enough, but I know better, and I'm taking the active steps that I can take to leave it behind no matter how long it takes. Like I mentioned, part of this is that weight gain is going to be a needed, accepted reality. And I'd rather do it now than later so that I can start fulfilling and walking in my life's calling and my dreams and living a life of freedom sooner rather than later. Why would I want to put that off any more than I have to, any more than this disorder has already taken it away from me? No, it's already been almost 2 decades. I don't want to lose another day to this illness. And there's a song I want to share part of with you. It's called Another Day, and it's by Grace City, and the chorus of it says this. It says, "I'm never gonna waste another day in worry. Oh, I will be still and still know you are God. When I'm in your presence, there's no need to hurry. I will be still and still know you are God." So I never want to waste another day in worry. Doesn't mean that I am free of fear. Doesn't mean that I am free of worry. As I told you, I'm terrified, but I'm running all in, full speed ahead into the work with my coach and work with my therapist, because I don't want to waste another day in chaos and disorder. And I know that despite feeling all of that fear, what God has given me is not a spirit of fear. God has given me a spirit of power and of love and of a sound mind. How awesome does a sound mind sound? A sound mind, that sounds amazing to me. So those are the things I'm going to try to cling to and remind myself when that terror and the fear comes in and says, hey, guess what? Maybe you don't really have to do this. I'm going to say, no, I'm never going to waste another day in disorder and worry over this being the rest of my life. I'm going to be still and still know you are God and know that you can deliver and that you will deliver. And for the first time in 18 years, I can truly say, I believe there will be a point in my future where I can say I am recovered. Not in recovery, not recovering, but recovered. So I am working toward that. I'm going to do the work so I can walk in my calling, so I can share my story and help others who are dealing with this, who have been labeled chronic with their eating disorders. And a lot of research out there is discouraging with that, saying people who are labeled with chronicity, that they're not going to ever actually get freedom. I don't believe that anymore. And literally, the free consultation I had with my coach, who I then immediately decided to start working with and committed and said, okay, sign me up, I'm in. The free consultation I had with her, just discussing all of this, was the very first time in my entire disordered life that I have actually thought that I would be able to say that. I am recovered. Now, I'm not recovered yet, but I have no doubt that it is a possibility, and I'm determined more than ever to make it a reality, because life is worth so much more than what I'm able to experience being ruled by chaos and disorder. So there's the video I never thought I'd have to make, but I'm also not beating myself up for the fact that I had to make it, because I want to be honest with you here. And this video is quite a bit longer than the rest of the videos about my journey through this would be, but I just kind of wanted to lay it all out there at the beginning, let you know where I'm coming from, let you know why the content is going to look a little different than the handful of videos I have on the channel so far. Serving chronically ill Christians, specifically those who struggle with mental illness as well, is very near and dear to my heart. But right now, what I'm going through is an eating disorder relapse and choosing recovery in a more determined way at age 32 than I ever have at any point in my life, because I realize it's not worth wasting another day in the worry of being ruled by disorder. There is too much life to live. I'm determined to do it. And if not now, when? It's not now or never. It's now. The choices: recovery, dying. The only 2 options. You eventually have to choose this, or this is going to happen one way or another. I'd rather choose this and get to freedom long before this happens, so I can enjoy the life that I have the blessing of living. Thank you guys for tuning in and joining me on this. I'm so excited to share this journey with you. Again, terrified, but suited up and putting on the armor of God to do the work anyway. And this video is quite a bit longer than the others will be. But again, I just wanted to kind of get it all out there at the beginning, let you know exactly what's going on. And we'll be more vlog style most of the time. I know this is kind of a talking head video. I'll be taking you vlog style through different things that I'm doing along this journey. But I hope that you are able to find encouragement if you are someone who is struggling, whether it's been for a day, a year, 18 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever you are going through with your eating disorder. I hope that if you are struggling with an eating disorder or just disordered eating, you're able to find encouragement knowing you're not alone, to find solace in knowing you're not the only one going through it, and there is hope. There is hope. And I can say that to you now and mean it. And I don't mean in my head, there is hope for everyone but me, like I always used to think. No, there is hope, period. There's hope for me, and there's hope for you. Time to go be terrified and do the work anyway. See y'all in the next one.